Have you ever heard someone breathing in a locked room, when you knew you were the only one inside the building? That happened to me. And to this day, I still don't know if it was a person, or something else. I used to work the night shift as a custodian at Ravenwood High School. The place was massive, 4 floors, 2 gyms, endless hallways that seemed to stretch forever when it was empty. During the day, it was just another school. But at night, it felt like a maze built for nightmares. I had only been working there a few months, the newest guy on the team. The older custodians always stuck me with the overnight shifts, especially on Fridays. Normally, we worked in pairs, but one night I got stuck completely alone. At first, the shift was routine. I started on the first floor, dragging my mop bucket down the silent hallways. My footsteps echoed so loud it felt like the building was listening to me. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, some flickering just enough to make the shadows stutter. By midnight, I climbed up to the 3rd floor. That floor was different. Even the air felt heavy. Most of the classrooms up there weren't used anymore. Dusty, locked, forgotten. Some filled with broken desks, others piled with boxes no one had touched in years. I always rushed through that floor. But that night, something made me slow down. Halfway down the main hallway, I froze. A classroom door was cracked open. That didn't make sense. I had already checked that hallway earlier, every single door had been shut and locked. I stood there, gripping my mop handle like it was a weapon. I should have just walked past, but curiosity clawed at me. I set the mop against the wall and pushed the door open with the edge of my flashlight. Inside, the classroom was empty. Desks stacked against the walls, boxes in the corners. Except, one box had been moved. It was tilted out of line, and I could see scuff marks on the tile, like it had been dragged across the floor. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe one of the daytime staff had been in there. Maybe I was just tired. I closed the door firmly and went back to work. But when I passed that same hallway 20 minutes later, the door was wide open again. My throat tightened. I crept closer, flashlight trembling in my hand. The room looked the same at first. But the box. It was no longer in the corner. It was sitting in the dead center of the room. My skin crawled. "Hello?" I whispered. My voice sounded too small in the empty building. That's when I heard it. From the back of the room, slow, steady breathing. Not the wind. Not the building. It was human. Deep, deliberate. Like someone was hiding, making sure I knew they were there. I backed away, slammed the door shut, and bolted for the stairwell. My pulse was hammering so loud I could barely hear anything else. I pressed against the cold metal door, straining to listen. Silence. But I knew what I'd heard. I called my supervisor, even though I hated bothering him at night. My voice shook as I explained. He told me to wait, he'd be there in 20 minutes. Those 20 minutes felt endless. Every creak of the floor above me made me flinch. Every shadow felt like it was watching. I kept staring at the stairwell door, half expecting it to burst open. Finally, my supervisor arrived with his heavy flashlight. We went up together. The classroom door was still open. The box was still in the center of the floor. We searched everywhere, behind desks, in closets, under tables. Nothing. No one. The windows were locked. The doors had been shut before. He gave me that look, the "you're overtired" look, and told me to get back to work. I didn't argue. But I knew what I had heard. The rest of the shift, I couldn't shake the feeling of being followed. Every time I passed that hallway, the air felt colder. My skin prickled, like invisible eyes were crawling across me. Weeks later, I was working with another custodian, an older guy named Martin. I mentioned the third floor. He gave me a strange look and said quietly, "You know a kid once stayed the night in that exact classroom, right? Tried to scare his friends. Staff found him the next morning, shaking in the corner, refusing to talk. After that, they stopped using the room." That should have explained it. But it didn't. Because what I heard that night wasn't the scared breathing of a kid. It was something darker. Something deliberate. Months passed, but I never stopped thinking about it. Then one night, I was back on the third floor, alone again. I avoided that classroom until I couldn't anymore. My cart squeaked as I wheeled it past, eyes fixed straight ahead. The door was closed. But as I passed it, I heard it again. That slow, heavy breathing. Only this time, it wasn't coming from inside the classroom. It was coming from right behind me. I dropped everything and ran, didn't stop until I was outside under the parking lot lights, gasping for air. After that, I refused to work that floor alone again. Years have gone by, but sometimes, when I'm lying in bed at night, in the silence, I hear it again. That same rhythm. That same reminder. Whatever was in that school, it followed me home. So let me ask you, if you were mopping a hallway at 2 a.m., and you heard someone breathing in an empty locked room, would you open the door? Or would you keep walking, and pray it doesn't follow you too? If this story sent a chill down your spine, don't forget to subscribe to Scary Ambience and tap the bell icon. That way, you'll never be alone in the dark again.